What's up, man? It is what the fuck? There you go. Cool. It is the 6th of August, 2019. Good trading day, man. Interesting session. Took a few winners and a few losers. Really just one loser and then one swing trade that I finally closed out for a loss that I've just been kind of waiting to see if it ever had any chance coming back, and it didn't. So today I took 48% gain on the SPY, 22% gain on Tesla, 4.5% gain on BYND the first time I took it, and 20% loss on BYND the second time I took it. So it came up a couple bucks on the day, nothing crazy really. Still a green day. I'm still happy with what I made, more than enough to go out and get a very nice dinner somewhere, but obviously it was nothing wild, right? So the reason that SPY 48% wasn't a tremendously huge win for me is basically because if you take a look at this chart right here, right? So we maximize this. Based on what you see here, what do you think is going to happen next, right? This thing is just completely dumping out. So some people would say I think it's going to go down because look, it's going down. Other people will say I think it's going to bounce because it's too extended to the downside. For me, like we see what happened here now, but for me, I had no idea what was happening. I opened in the middle of the range, right? This is, so if we take it from its highs up here, this thing is already down. Of course. Actually see this, yeah. So from its highs up there to where it got to its lows yesterday, that's a 6.7% dump, right? In 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over 10% is generally what they consider in correction territory, right? This is a pretty significant move, but it's not significant enough. Well, you'd expect a huge bounce back, right? But it's significant enough where you could get a huge bounce back. You just don't know, right? If you go back over the history of these charts, what do you see, right? We see a, like for example here, sharp decline, immediately tremendously large bounce. Over here, sharp decline, big bounce, right? And there's no warning on these bounces, right? They just come and they never stop. They just take all of this cash flow and just get pushed back to their highs. So I wasn't looking to load the boat short today because I was a bit scared, right? I'm supposed not scared, but I was nervous, right? I didn't want to be overexposed on the short side and then for this thing to decide to do a dead cat bounce and rip, for the market to rip out, a couple hundred points against me, and then I just get absolutely crushed, right? So today for me, it was all about small size, following the option flow, seeing where the big guys are putting their money, and just being smart, man. I was taking my profits all day long, not really holding on anything, which, kind of bit me in the butt with BYND, but everything else, like a move like BYND had today is a once in a lifetime move for a stock, right? Like it wouldn't happen. It's not a frequent thing, so it's better to be in the habit of taking your profits when they're there, when they're reasonable. And if you can hold a small piece for the long haul, I didn't, but people who did, man, they made a fucking killing today, man. They made a killing on that Beyond. So we kind of get into my trades, and just so you can kind of follow along. If you want, you can kind of pause the video or screenshot or whatever, and here are all my fills. Here are all the times. So remember, this is 9:30, right, a.m. So think about this in Irish time. So these are all my fills. You'll be able to see me on the charts where I was getting my fills, and you can kind of check and see what you think if you want. But anyway, we're about to go over it. So go ahead and get rid of it. So I started the day off with the SPY, right? So if we come into this, looking at the hourly, right? So when I was making this trade, this is kind of what I was seeing. Break up, and we are moving into this 287 level. So I took this trade at 9:34 a.m. market time, right? So kind of, we look on the 5-minute. I was taking it into this push here, this first push. The reason why I was taking it into this first push is because I thought we had gapped up pretty large. I thought people were going to get trapped on the longs, right? And I wasn't ready to take a long first thing in the morning. This is a pretty bullish look, right? But then when you go back to that 1 hour and you see, look at all this, right? All this supply in here. I was expecting a rejection off here and then probably a return to lows, right? If not a complete dump back down to the lows of pre-market or after hours yesterday. That's what I was looking at, right? The thing is coming up this way. Then I take a look at the option flow. Boom, there was some guy who came through with, I don't know, like 500K or something like that, bet on the SPY. So puts, right? And for 279, right? So think about where this price is. 286, right? 286, 287. And they're saying that this thing is going to dump down 9 points in 3 days, right? I know that it looks crazy because of the recent action, right? But just look generally how long it takes for this thing to move that many points, right? And this is a pretty volatile time with all this stuff. But the range, it just isn't that. This is a huge candle. This is a $2 range, right? So in 3 days at a $2 range, we're not going to make it down. So I was thinking this guy must know something I don't. So I started hopping in. This is that order right here, that 1400 order. So I saw this. I kind of saw it sitting around. And then I think I got in just before this. So I got in down here in the 4. We even moved that to the 1 minute, which might be easier for me to today minute. And obviously, as we can see, this thing ended up being almost worthless now by the end of the day. But the point is this is kind of where I was looking at it over here, right? So I got in 934. This is my fill here. I got in somewhere in this area, right? And then we got a bit of a push up to 50, then it pulled back down, right? And I was just kind of sitting through all this, right? It looked to me like the market was giving it its best go, moving up, but I was going to wait and see on the hourly. For me to get stopped out of this position, I wanted to see this second hourly candle break the highs of the first, right? So break the first 30-minute highs of the market. If it did, I'd go ahead and get out of my position. Otherwise, I was happy to sit on it, right? Because what do I know? I know somebody with a lot more money than me has made a bet that this thing is probably going to dump out at some point, right? So I was getting in up here. Happens, thing dumps down. I take my first fill at 59 cents. So remember, look, this thing went to 64 cents. I got a fill at 59 cents, right? So I got a really, really nice fill in here at the top, down here, and then it came back against me, and I took it off at like 51 cents for 25% there, right? So that's the thinking behind this. Basically, saw volume, right? Like the volume, and this is the volume I think I saw, this 32, right? And that's why I got in on 34. I got in a couple minutes later. Again, generally when I'm trying to follow volume, I really want to try and get the same fill within a couple cents of the fill of whoever had the volume, because I know if my break-even point is the same as his break-even point, you know, then it's easier for me to kind of sit in that trade and manage that trade. So that's the SPY, 48% winner, just like that. Here. It's awesome. None of this really bugs me all that much, and I was just waiting for confirmation over this for me to get out of this trade. And I was never really down that much in the first place because I was picking it up here. So that's what happened with SPY. Next was Tesla. Tesla, for me, bit tricky. So this is the hourly. We kind of saw Tesla push up, and it was rejecting. We go to the 5 minute because I got in this at 250. It's here, right? So I was looking to get fills kind of on this push back up, and when I was seeing this push back up, we actually go over to the Tesla, right? We go to the 217.5, I think it was. Cool. Copy. Charts. What do you think we're going to see, Adam, when we jump onto this chart here? Well, I'll tell you what we're going to see. We're going to see flow, right? We're going to see volume. So, let's see. Kind of this area here. Cool. So, I got into this at 249, so 1449, which is over here, right? In this area, this was the volume right here. I got a fill at 113. This dude's average was like 109. So, I was within a couple cents. And I was happy enough with that. So I was holding this trade. I had like a 50% loss that I was willing to take on it. And if you go back to the hourly, which is, again, remember, that's my chart, right? I watch the hourly chart. I was basically waiting for the new candle. So new candle forms, and immediately it can't make any new highs. It just starts dumping down. I said, cool, cool, cool. Let it come down, let it come down. And then when it kind of cracked this low here and dumped through, that's when I got out of my Tesla, because it was sitting around. It wasn't doing anything. Do you know what I mean? I was expecting a bigger move. Got kind of stalled out here. It was stopping every 50 cents. Like if we go down to the minute, it was literally every single 15 cents. It was getting, or sorry, not 15, 50 cents. Like this thing was just a choppy trader today. You know what I mean? It was so broke down, came back up, came down, came back up, down, came back. Thing was just a tough trader for me. So I took it on that first flush, and then I tried Tesla again a second time. Here on this breakdown here, and I was really looking for a move down to 224. This would have been my kind of trade of the day, this one here. But it didn't work out, right? It ended up kind of coming back and being a scratch trade. I think I got in at 135, I got out at 136, right? I made like a penny, right? So covered commissions and a couple bucks, but basically scratch, right? But anyway, so that's two trades on this, right? So first was on the breakthrough here, second was on a breakthrough here. And the reason that I was kind of trying to hit Tesla so hard for the descent is because of my my next chart, right? BYND. Now, BYND, there's no flow for me to show you. So going to move that over. There was no option flow on this. This was purely I was interested in this trade. I took BYND at about 306. I'm going to go into a 5-minute chart for this so I can better explain to you why I got out of this thing. So 1505. So I got in here. Let's see. Right, 06. Yeah. So I got in this candle, kind of up here towards highs, right? Got in. Good. It was looking good. It was looking good. All the way back down. Nice. Looking good. Looking good. Came back up. And generally, when that happens, I'll hold through like one pullback on a 5-minute chart. Came back down. Tried to break through lows. Came back up. And when it broke through the high of this candle, I just said, you know what? Screw it. I'm up a couple cents. I was up like a little bit. My option was decaying rapidly because I'd taken out the 157.5s, right? So this thing is way out of the money, way out of the money. Because of that, my decay was just, I was screwed, right? If this popped against me whatsoever, I'd have been toasted, right? So I went ahead and I got out, basically break even, 4.5% gain. And lo and behold, those 157.5s by the end of the day, look at that. Look at this move, man. Those 157.5s, pull it up here. Look at the gains that these things make. We're doing BYND. And this is an interesting kind of thought. On the one hand, you can say, you know what? I would hold next time. Next time this happens, I'm going to hold and I'm going to see what happens with it. And so I got to fill on this at 87 cents, right? So my fill's at 87 cents. Say here. Let's just see percent gain on this bad boy today. Cents. That is a 365% gain on that option. And I took it for 4.5%. Right? Like, that's insane. That'd be a great winner, man. Like, I'd be stoked on that. That's a move that you want to see. And this thing, once it started going, basically never stopped, right? Like, it just kept going. It was this one area when I was trying to get in where it was finally starting to kind of hold something. It looked like it was basing. I tried to break through new lows, couldn't quite do it. Tried to break through lows again, then it popped back up again. You know what I mean? Like, it was barely a new low, barely a new low. I wasn't super confident in it, so I got out. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like, I was up money on it, then I came down money on it, and then I was up, and then I was down. Then I was like, fuck it. If I come up on it again, I'll get out break even. I got out 4.5%. That's just the way she goes. You know what I mean? It just kind of is what it is. Would have been a really, really nice trade if it had worked out for me. But it was just a slow mover, man. And that's why I was railing Tesla so hard, right? So I'm watching BYND all day long, right? Just dump. And so I was playing with Tesla because I thought Tesla would do something similar, but it obviously didn't, right? It was too sketchy today. I don't think there was great volume in the market today, to be honest. I think everyone was kind of hesitant. No one wanted to jump in on the long side, but nobody really wanted to jump in on the short side either. The option flow was almost non-existent today. Very, very few big moves coming through, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. But oh man, I messed up this trade, which is cool, man. I was still profitable on it, man. May your worst trade be a green one, right? May your worst trade be a green one. So that's the BYND. And like, dude, and if we look at this just from an analytical perspective, right? Where do you get in? Knowing how I do, you get in on the slow. On the slow, right? Which is that 173. You get down to 172. And just kept going. You could have entered here. That was a good entry. Over here was a good entry. Over this was a good entry for a retrace back to this area. It just is what it is. Now the 20% loss I took on this was down here. I had just gotten back from lunch and I thought it was about to continue even further because I'm anticipating this thing gets down towards 150. It was this 4-hour confirmation. I think that this thing is going to be down here towards 150, 149 by probably end of the week. So I took a 149, but then it started pulling back against me, and I thought, you know what? I don't want to hold this overnight. This thing could gap up and then move down. It's just holding options overnight can be a bit stressful when there are Momo plays like this versus some of the swings that I'm currently in. So I was like, screw that. I just took a 20% loss, but again, small size because I was trying to sell. I was trying to short the bottom of the day, right? This is the worst place to short, and that's where I was trying to short. So it took really, really small size. So barely a scratch. And basically, if you combine my win on Beyond and my loss on Beyond, I think I lost a couple bucks. You know what I mean? Like, it's nothing legit. So that's okay. Bit frustrating though, coming back and trying to get into this trade again after I knew I shouldn't have done that, because it was the afternoon. But what are you gonna do? It was a huge move, and I got greedy, man. I got greedy. I wanted a piece of it. So anyway, let's see what else. That's the SPY trade. That's the Tesla trades, the Beyond trades. LCI. Nice. LCI is a small cap stock, right? This chart isn't going to show you a huge amount. Like, there's not really much here. I wouldn't have really traded it normally, except for the fact that this thing has, like, I don't know, I think it's like 30 million outstanding float, right? This is what we call a low float. A low float means that there's only so many shares outstanding that we can trade. And so if this thing starts running like it did here, the float begins to rotate, right? Because if let's say we have, just for ease of math and as an example, let's say there's 100 shares of whatever, or let's say there's 100 slices of pizza, right? And everybody wants a slice of pizza. And so the people who knew that everyone would want a slice of pizza got in early. What did they do? They bought up, out of the 100 slices of pizza, they bought up 60 slices of pizza. So there's only 40 slices of pizza left. There's 200 people who want a slice of pizza. And so they're willing to pay more and more for each slice of pizza, right? Since now people are holding on to their slices of pizza and they're not actually selling and buying and selling and buying, right? We have even smaller float. And those same slices of pizza keep getting rebought and resold and rebought and resold. And the float, so that's what this is, and they get recycled. But once the float starts getting recycled, these things can squeeze in a disgusting way, just in an insane way. So this is LCI. I think it's got earnings at the end of the month, but today we had a pretty big buyer come in at the August 9th. No. August 16th, the 7.5 calls. That's these ones. For August 16th, that's the end of next week, right? That's pretty close, man. Pretty close. So I decided, you know what? That's a big bet. Small history of running, right? Big candles when it goes. Big candles, big candles, big candles. And then I saw another order come through for the December 10s, right? So 10 is up here. They've got earnings at the end of the month. Right, this thing is worth $6.50, right, a share, and someone has put, I think it was like a total of 1.5 mil. bet that this thing was going to go up over the next few weeks. So what that tells me is, guess what? These bad boys are going to have a sick earning. Like, they're going to beat earnings expectations. Why? How do I know that? Because these people are putting so much money into something that doesn't deserve that much money. You know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous, right? You don't need to put that much money into a $6 stock, but they did, right? So that tells me something important. So I saw that your man got filled at 15 cents, I think. So I managed to get in there at 22 cents. I took a couple contracts, and we're just gonna see how this goes, man. Closed today, I was up on this thing 2%, I think. It wasn't anything crazy, 2 or 3%, something like that. And then my position that I have from yesterday, NXST, I think is what the ticker was. Yeah, so I'm still in this one. Do you remember I got on the call side here? Still up 10-12%. Probably would need to push towards 100 for me to actually look to take control. But look, we've got pretty good volume here. 2 times I tried to dump off, pop back up. So if we get a move over these highs tomorrow, I think we can probably expect to see maybe 100, and I can get out of that position. And then my last fill was that CTAS. That was just getting out of that swing trade from way back when. That didn't work. This bad boy got in here. Right, expecting to move towards 270. I took out those calls, and instead I got dumped on in a pretty nasty way. Why? Well, if you look at this thing, on its best day, it's got like $1 million or $2 million when it had earnings. Basically, on its best day, on a day-to-day basis, it's got a million shares of volume. There's not enough volume in this thing for it to work independently of the market. And so as the market dumps, this thing will dump. And as the market pops, this thing will pop. But I only had a couple days. There's no way it's getting back up to 270. No way I was going to make any money on it. So when it kind of came back closer to my entry and I was down less, I took it off. Still lost like 70% on that thing. That's okay. It's the way it goes. Really should have waited for a close instead of just a break. Really should have waited for a close over that range. But look, it is what it is. There's nothing wrong with it. So that's that. So on the day, not too bad. Made a couple bucks. Let's see. So if you include the swing trade as a loss, right? But I wouldn't, because I didn't make that. Basically, for the trades I made today, made 5 trades today and lost 1. That's pretty sweet, man. That's pretty sweet. So again, small enough day. Nothing was really dramatically moving. Ranges weren't exactly expanding. But you know, it's another green day, man. It's another green day, and may your worst day be a green day, and may your worst trade be a green trade. You know what I mean? So nothing wrong with it. We'll just kind of see how the next couple days decide to pan out, and we might get some pretty good action towards the end of this week. So anyway, yeah. So that's it. Any questions? Comment below. Otherwise, that's end of all that. And if I forgot anything, if you looked at my fills and you're like, you didn't explain this one, my bad. Just let me know and I will explain that one either today or tomorrow to you. Cool. Cheers. Have a good day. Have a good day tomorrow. And let's hope this market kind of picks a direction or gets a bit of strength. Because honestly, our best move, to be honest with you, we'll probably want to get a pull. We'll probably want to keep pulling down towards this 278. Because there's just no room to the upside. We might go up to 290 tomorrow. Fill this gap here. 290, 130 even. But you know what? It's just tough to say what's going to happen next. So I'm just going to keep an eye on it. Watch price action. And that's it, man. All right. Deuces, brother.